Chapter 8. Anything for the kids. The boy was standing beside his mother's car, which was parked behind the house beside the yard gate. As I drew closer, I did a visual sweep for clues and saw that the left rear door of the car was open. They were about to leave for Bible school. When I arrived on the scene, the boy greeted me with his broad smile and open arms. "Hi, Hanky." You know, there's a special bond between dog and little boy. It's one of the constants in the universe. When nothing else makes sense, when the rest of the world seems to be falling apart and driven by greed and pettiness, we can always fall back on that special bond between dogs and boys. I fell into his arms and gave his face a good licking. Sometimes those face washes will produce a few tasty memories of breakfast, which makes a dog's job quite a bit more interesting. But this time, we drew a blank. No tracks of toast, jelly, bacon, or I was fixing to say eggs, but we'll skip that. The point is that someone, either little Alfred or his mom, had done some scrubbing on his face and had removed all tracks of breakfast. But that was okay. In this life, love and devotion are way more important than jelly. The boy seemed excited about going to Bible school. "We're learning about Joseph and his coat of many colors." Joseph? I did a search on that name and got one result. Joe Fred. Remember him? He was the grasshopper who had the starring role in Drover's Miserable Little Song. Was this some kind of clue? I don't think so. Alfred continued. "And Noah's Ark and Zacchaeus up in the tree, and Zacchaeus must have been a cat," just reminded me. Our local cat needed to be parked in a tree, and I would attend to that as soon as Sally Mae departed from the ranch. Oh, the boy's eyes were shining. "Hanky, maybe you could go to Bible school with us." With us? Did that include his mother? That would never happen. Sorry. I was glad to see my pal excited, and I sure didn't want to stomp on his idea. But as far as me going to town, well, that didn't sound very practical. I went to slow, caring wags on the tail section to let him know that I appreciated the invitation. He looked into my face and smiled. And you know, that kid had the sweetest smile. Sometimes his grin showed an ornery streak, but this time just innocent and little boy sweetness. And he said, "Hanky, I wish you could go with me. The other kids would love it. You'd be the star." The star? Me? No kidding? Wow! What could I say? Hey, I don't go around trying to make a big deal out of myself, but the star, huh? I had to admit it was kind of an interesting idea. How many dogs get a chance to be the star of anything? Very few. On the ranch, no. One of the things that comes with the title of head of ranch security, and this is something we have to cope with. One of the things that comes with the so forth is that, well, a lot of people and dogs see us as something special, out of the ordinary, a kind of celebrity, even a star. Yes, it was a pretty interesting idea, but The lad tossed a glance toward the house and lowered his voice. I don't think my mom would mind. Oh? I wasn't so sure about that. I mean, Sally Mae was pretty particular about who got to ride in her car, and I couldn't remember ever being invited. Also, we had some tension in the relationship that very morning. A twinkle came into his eyes. She doesn't have to know. Yeah, well, there was a little problem with she doesn't have to know. His mother had several mommy-sensing devices that included radar for dogs and X-ray vision for little boys. And somehow she always seemed to know everything about everything. You could hide in the front, on the floor in the back. It could be our very own secret. I hadn't thought of that, hiding on the floor, beyond the ranch reach of Mommy Radar. That was pretty clever. Please, Hanky, please, please, please. You know, a lot of dogs pay attention to to the kids and consider them little nuisances. I guess if those mutts had their way, they'd choose to live in a world without messes and noise and all the other stuff that comes with kids. But let me tell you something about cow dogs. We care about the children. When they're in danger, we are ready to rumble. When they're unhappy, we're unhappy. When they're having a bad day, we're having a bad day. When they cry, we cry. And when they go to town, I got a little choked up just talking about this stuff. I mean, the of loyalty between a boy and his dog is so powerful that it actually shorts out the relationship, the rational mind, for a few moments in time. We can't think of anything except keeping a smile shining on the face of our little pals. And thinking about this, one day Alfred would grow up and none of this would be important to him. But now, today, he wanted to share his life and experiences with me. Even more touching, he wanted to share me with the less fortunate children of Twitchell. Would I volunteer for this mission? Yes. Of course, absolutely. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Anything for the kids. I communicated these thoughts through ears, eyes, tail wags, and a loud bark, and we sealed the deal with a hug. But then, we heard sounds coming from the house. The door opened and closed. Footsteps swished on the walkway. The yard gate squeaked. Sally Mae was coming. I looked at the boy, and he looked at me. He whispered, "Quick, in the car." Roger that. I dived into the car and assumed a stealth position on the floor. Alfred dived in right behind me, slammed the door shut, and became a statue, the perfect little boy. Good posture, hands clasped on his lap, eyes straight ahead, a smile stamped on his mouth, and his feet on the floor. Actually, his feet were on top of me, but that was okay. Anything for the kids. Sally Mae settled baby Molly into her car seat, closed the door, and walked around the back of the car. Then, gulp. The sound of her feet on the gravel stopped. She was looking into the left rear window. I squeezed my eyes shut and hoped, "Oh, there you are. Ready to go?" In a stiff, unnatural voice, the kid said, "Yes, Mother. All set to go." She entered the car and locked the doors. "When did you start saying, 'Yes, Mother'?" It almost makes me, well, I appreciate that I didn't have to go looking for you. We're already running late. She twisted the rear view mirror and looked at his face. The idiot. What's wrong, Mom? Your dog bashed me in the face, and I'm getting a black eye. I tried to cover it with makeup, but it still shows. The boy's mouth dropped open, and we exchanged a look of, well, alarm. The thought had just struck him that, taking me to Bible school might not be such a great idea. Not today. Not with all the, bad feelings and so forth. He swallowed hard. Hey, Mom, I need to tell you something. Not now, sweetie. We're already late. She started the car, and we went ripping away from the house. You can always tell when she's running late. Tires spin, gravel flies, dogs, cats, chickens had better get out of the way. Good grief. I was sealed inside an automobile, swaying back and forth, racing towards town, and something scary was going on in my gizzardy depths. Remember that rotten egg? I remembered it. And you know what else? There's a condition called car sickness. It's caused by the rocking motion of a vehicle, and made worse when the vehicle is warm and stuffy. By the time we reached the highway, the air inside the car seemed warm and stuffy. I pushed myself up to a standing position and glanced around, looking for, I don't know what, a door, an exit, a window, anything that would allow me to escape this. My head began moving up and down. I had been through this before and knew what it meant. Powerful, unseen forces had taken control of my body. Little Alfred's eyes almost popped out of his head. Hanky, no! I gave him a tragic look. Sorry. Hey, Mom, you need to stop. Stop? Hanky back here, and he's fixing to throw up. Hank? Oh, my word, please. No, not today. Hurry, Mom. She must have heard the and figured out that this was no joke. She pulled off the highway and hit the brakes. Alfred Leroy, how did that dog get in my car? The boy stared straight ahead and shook his head, and tears began flowing down his cheeks. I don't know, Mom. He burst out crying. Well, I felt bad for the boy, but a whole lot worse about the convulsions in my stomach. I mean, we're talking about an explosion in the boiling room. Big time trouble. She got the car shut down, dived outside, and jerked open Alfred's door. Hank, out! Quick! Hurry! You know, if she'd pulled over 5 seconds sooner, we might have, it all happened so fast. I leaped out of the car, but the damage had it lay on the floor. She leaned into the car and stared at the material on the floor. Green? At that same moment, she caught a whiff of it, and this is really painful. The sound that leapt out of her mouth was something between a shriek and a squeak. Ah! What is that? Alfred, honey, get out of the car. Hurry. And don't breathe. The fumes. She grabbed, clapped, and handed over her mouth. Gagged. There it is. She gagged, clapped a hand over her mouth, and jerked her son out of the car, then ran around to the other side and rescued baby Molly. And there we stood, a homeless family on the side of the highway. The car had become an abandoned contaminated, toxic, radioactive piece of junk. Alfred wailed and boo-hooed. Sally Mae tried to console him while holding Molly, shaking her head, rolling her eyes, and muttering dark syllables under her breath. I felt terrible. Actually, I felt quite a bit better, physically speaking, but I'm talking about the emotional burden of the so forth. I couldn't help feeling that. Well, I had been partly responsible. In fact, I felt such a rush of sorrow that, I was about to lick Sally Mae on the ankle, but a tiny voice inside of my mind whispered, "Don't do it." Good advice. I skipped the ankle wash and slithered under the car. So there we were, standing and adrift on the endless plains of the Texas Panhandle. The silence was terrifying. At last, Alfred said, "What do we do now, Mom?" "I don't know." "What was that dog doing in my car?" "I wanted him to go to Bible school." "You wanted? How could you do this to your own mother?" They both seemed on the verge of tears. But just then, we heard the sound of a vehicle approaching. It slowed down and pulled off the highway. It stopped. 2 doors opened and closed. Footsteps approached. I dared to peek out and saw, holy smokes, it was Loper and Slim. And hallelujah for that.